Students, I will discuss granulomatous inflammation today. Granulomatous inflammation is a specific type of inflammation that is characterized by granuloma formation. At the end of lecture, student will be able to define it, its pathogenesis, components of granuloma, types of giant cells, etiological classification of granulomatous inflammation, and systemic effects of inflammation. I will start with short essay question. A 9-year-old boy has had chronic cough and low-grade fever, night sweats for the past month. Chest radiograph shows cavitating lesion in right lung. A sputum sample contains acid-fast bacilli. I highlighted the hints. Chronic cough and low-grade fevers are typical symptoms of tuberculosis. Also, there are cavitating lesion in the lung, and Mycobacterium tuberculosis is acid-fast bacilli. So questions asked are: name the type of inflammation, components of granuloma, etiological classification of granulomatous inflammation, and role of macrophage in this type of inflammation. By definition, granulomatous inflammation is a form of chronic inflammation characterized by a collection of activated macrophages, often with T lymphocytes and sometimes associated with central necrosis. These are all components of granuloma: epithelioid cells, giant cells. The activated macrophages may develop abundant cytoplasm and begin to resemble epithelial cells, hence they are called epithelioid cells. Some activated macrophages may fuse, forming multinucleated giant cells. Granuloma formation is a cellular attempt to contain an offending agent that is difficult to eradicate. In the setting of persistent T cell response to certain microbes like Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Treponema pallidum, or fungi, T cell derived cytokines are responsible for chronic macrophage activation and granuloma formation. Tuberculosis is prototype of granulomatous disease caused by infection and should always be excluded, as tuberculosis is much prevalent in our community. In this disease, granuloma is referred to as tubercle. Pathogenesis. First interaction of Mycobacterium is with resident macrophage, that is called alveolar macrophages. Alveolar macrophage is antigen presenting cell. It presents cells to T cell, to activators. Also, it secretes interleukin 12 to activate T cell. Activated T cell secrete interferon gamma that cause activation of macrophages. Macrophages have important role in phagocytosis. Also, it enhances its bactericidal activity by nitric oxide and free radical formation. Macrophage also secrete several chemokines to recruit more monocytes at the site of inflammation. So here you can see at the end granuloma is formed, that is composed of caseous necrosis, epithelioid cells. These slipper shaped cells are epithelioid cells, and these round cells are lymphocytes. Here is cross section of lung involved by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Grossly, you can see gray-white cavitating lesions in the lung caused by granulomatous inflammation. Cut section of cervical lymph node showing cheesy granular areas due to caseous necrosis in granuloma. Granulomas are composed of epithelioid cells. Those are activated macrophages in granulomas. They have pink granular cytoplasm with indistinct cell boundaries. They are surrounded by a collar of lymphocytes. Older granulomas may have rim of fibroblast. Multinucleated giant cell 40 to 50 micron meter in diameter are found in granulomas. These are called Langhans giant cells. They consist of large mass of cytoplasm and many nuclei. You can see here components of granuloma: central areas of caseous necrosis surrounded by epithelioid cells. These spindle-shaped cells are epithelioid cells. Langhans-shaped, horseshoe-shaped Langhans-type giant cells, and lymphocytes. These dark brown circles are lymphocytes. Here are different types of giant cells. Horseshoe shape is typical of tuberculosis, while giant cells formed by foreign body type, they have centrally placed regular nuclei, while in Teuton type giant cells, they are surrounded by vacuolated cytoplasm. Those are filled with lipid. They are found in xanthomas. Tumor giant cells are composed of dysplastic pleomorphic cells. You can see here Langerhans type horseshoe shaped giant cells, nuclei arranged in horseshoe shape. These spindle shaped cells are epithelioid cells and they are surrounded by these round dark nuclei. These are lymphocytes. Foreign body type giant cells you can appreciate here in the center purple colored foreign body. These centrally filled nuclei foreign body type, these are trying to engulf this foreign body. Teuton giant cell is surrounded by vacuolated cytoplasms filled with lipid. Tumor giant cells caused by aggregation of pleomorphic malignant cells. Reed-Sternberg cells. You can see here mirror images of each other. This is also called owl's eye appearance. This is found in Hodgkin lymphoma, that is a disorder of blood cell. On the basis of pathogenesis, granulomas are classified into immune granulomas and foreign body granulomas. Immune granulomas are caused by persistent T cell mediated response against persistent microbes such as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. In such responses, macrophages activate T cells to produce cytokines such as interleukin-2, which activates other T cells, sustaining their response. Also, interferon gamma is excreted, which activates the macrophages. Foreign body granulomas are seen in response to foreign body in the absence of T cell mediated response. Here is the difference between immune and foreign body granuloma. There is T cell responses absent in foreign body granulomas. They are formed around materials such as talc, sutures, or other fibers. Epithelioid cells and giant cells opposed to surface of foreign body. The foreign material can usually be identified in the center of granuloma. You can see here, suture material is present here in the center, and these foreign body type giant cells are trying to engulf this suture material. Again here, purple foreign body is present here, and foreign body type giant cells are trying to engulf. On the basis of morphology, granulomas are classified into caseating and non-caseating granulomas. As the name indicates, caseating granuloma contains a central zone of necrosis. They are typically found in Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Grossly, they have granular cheesy appearance. Microscopically, this necrotic material appears as amorphous, structureless, eosinophilic granular debris with loss of cellular details. Non-caseating granuloma don't have necrotic centers and they are found in Crohn's and sarcoidosis. Granulomas may also develop in some immune-mediated inflammatory diseases like Crohn's disease, which is one type of inflammatory bowel disease and is important cause of granulomatous inflammation. You can see here Crohn's disease involving the colonic mucosa. Granuloma don't have any central necrosis. So it's called non-caseating granuloma, composed of epithelioid cells surrounded by collar of lymphocytes. Sarcoidosis is a disease of unknown etiology. In this patient present with bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. Here are some differences between caseating and non-caseating granuloma. Those are found in sarcoidosis. There is absence of central caseation necrosis, while caseation necrosis is typical in tuberculosis. Fungal granuloma, you can see here two spores are present in the center of foreign body type giant cells. This granuloma is surrounded by rim of fibroblast. Etiological classification of granulomatous inflammation. Tuberculosis is the first and foremost. I have already discussed it. Leprosy is caused by Mycobacterium leprae and it causes formation of non-caseating granuloma. Syphilis produces gammas. Those are microscopic to grossly visible lesion. Enclosing wall of macrophages, plasma cell infiltrate, and central cells are necrotic. Gastro disease is caused by gram-negative bacillus. This causes formation of rounded or stellate granuloma. Sarcoidosis and Crohn's disease produce non-caseatic granulomas. Investigations include acid-fast bacilli for tuberculous bacilli, culture methods, PCR, and serological studies. Here is one MCQ. 1 month after appendectomy, a 25-year-old woman palpates a small nodule beneath the skin. So after appendectomy, there is a nodule on the scar site at the site of healed right lower quadrant in CN. The nodule is excised and microscopic examination shows macrophages, collagen, few small lymphocytes, and multinucleated giant cells. These are all components of granulomas, macrophages and multinucleated cells with cytoplasm. Polarizable refractile material is seen in the nodule. That means some foreign body type material is present within the granuloma. So this is example of foreign body type granuloma. Which of the following complication of surgery best accounts for these findings? So it's suture granuloma because it's against the suture material. Systemic effects of inflammation. Inflammation, even if it is localized, is associated with cytokine-induced systemic reaction. Those are collectively called acute phase response, like symptoms we faced in pneumonia or influenza. These changes are reaction to cytokines TNF, interleukin-1, interleukin-6, and type 1 interferons. Acute phase response consists of several clinical and pathological changes. First is fever. It's characterized by elevation of body temperature, usually by 1 degree centigrade to 4 degrees centigrade. Pyrogens. The increase in temperature is caused by prostaglandins. Those are produced in vascular and perivascular cells of hypothalamus. Bacterial products such as lipopolysaccharides called exogenous pyrogens stimulate leukocyte to release cytokines such as interleukin-1 and TNF. These are called endogenous pyrogens that increase the enzyme cyclooxygenase that converts arachidonic acid into prostaglandin. In the hypothalamus, the prostaglandin, especially prostaglandin E2, stimulate the production of neurotransmitter that reset the temperature set point at a high level. So the fever is caused. NSAIDs include aspirin, reduce fever by inhibiting this prostaglandin synthesis that causes resetting of the temperature in hypothalamus. Clinical manifestation include increased heart rate and blood pressure, decreased sweating, rigors, chills, anorexia, malaise. High levels of cytokines cause widespread clinical and pathological abnormalities such as DIC, hypotensive shock, and metabolic disturbances including insulin resistance and hyperglycemia. This clinical triad is known as septic shock. We will discuss in detail in hemodynamic chapter. Acute phase proteins. Plasma proteins mostly are synthesized in the liver, whose plasma concentration may increase several hundredfold as part of response to inflammatory stimuli. Three of the best known proteins are CRP, fibrinogen, and serum amyloid protein. CRP and serum amyloid protein bind to microbial cell walls and they may act as opsonin and fixed complement. Elevated serum level of CRP serve as a marker of increased risk of myocardial infarction. ESR. Fibrogen binds to red cell and cause them to form stacks, rholex, that sediments more rapidly at unit gravity than do individual red cells. This is the basis for measuring of ESR. When the fibrinogen formation is increased, ESR is raised. Anemia of chronic disease. Another peptide whose production is increased in the acute phase response is iron regulating hepcidin. Chronically elevated plasma concentration of hepcidin reduce the availability of iron and are responsible for anemia associated with chronic inflammation. Leukocyte count in inflammation. Leukocytosis is a common feature of inflammatory reaction, especially those induced by bacterial infection. Normal WBC count is 4,000 to 11,000. Leukocyte count usually climbs to 15,000 to 20,000 per microliter, but sometimes may raise to 40,000 to 100,000. These extreme elevations are referred to as leukemioid reactions. Neutrophilia, that are caused by most bacterial infection. Lymphocytosis is caused by viral infections and infectious mononucleosis. Eosinophilia is caused by allergies and parasitic infection, while leukopenia is caused by typhoid fever and infection caused by certain viruses. Thank you.